Attention, bobsled riders! It seems the Yeti has moved on, so please remain seated as your journey down the Matterhorn will continue shortly. If you happen to miss the first part of our journey, please travel back, so that you might fully experience the full length of our journey down the Matterhorn. Auf Wiedersehen!
So now it brings us to episode 5, which
I think it's the best episode.
is a great introduction.
You think this was the best episode?
I think so.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why when we get to the last episode.
Okay.
So, how does it start off, JP?
It starts off with Ahsoka Tano, doing, hit-run, Rambo-style killings.
I love that, the season didn't hold up. They brought up Ahsoka Tano, but, you're they're gonna push her up till the end. And it was nope.
You start off.
You start off with her, and she is so cool looking.
Her double white lightsabers, which you get a feel for in the Rebels TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it there, and I saw it, and all my hairs on my body just, shot off. I don't have a lot of hair. But, the hair on my arms are just blue, this is amazing!
Yes.
And just to see, a lightsaber and the hum and the, slashing, it was so good. And it was just little hits on all the people. And so
Rosario Dawson did a spectacular job.
I agree.
Yes.
She did a great job playing the part of Ahsoka. Would I liked Ashley Eckstein? Yes. I would have preferred an Ashley Eckstein, but
She's the voice.
she's the original voice of Ahsoka Tano, and I've seen there's photos of her in makeup dressed up like Ahsoka Tano, and she looks like Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
She did get the frequency of her sentences and how
yes,
Ahsoka talks.
she did a really good job.
Where I was that's good, but like I said, it's not the same voice, but it gets
She
the
did a
job
good
done.
job.
And
She did a good job.
I have no grievances.
Nope, I
No.
don't.
I do with her headpiece, but I understand there's a logistical issue.
It was a logistical issue of
with makeup.
because she had to do there were stunts that had to be done that are impractical with long dangly parts, and so they had to shorten it a bit so that the stunt people
I
could
got
actually
over
do
it. I was like, okay, for the real live action, I'll let this one pass.
There was a moment when Mando's hired as a hitman or to get
Ahsoka.
which I
he's
love. He's
like,
like, okay.
That's who I'm looking
You're
for.
gonna pay me to do what I was gonna do? Oh, please.
And you're gonna give me Beskar?
You're gonna be a cool spear? Sweet.
Okay, sure.
More for the foundlings,
Just that moment of oh, you have no idea what's going on? Great, I'm gonna use you.
When you saw that spear, did you think it was gonna be used for the final fight?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
that's a setup for when he faces Moff Gideon.
For a possible fight with the Darksaber, for
Yeah.
sure.
And then let's talk about the name of Baby Yoda that was revealed.
Little Grogu.
Grogu. I
Little
like it.
Grogu.
I like it.
It's fun. It's
I
good.
wish-
I'm glad it didn't start with a Y,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
because
yeah.
then that would have just been played right into the
You got Yodel, Yoda.
Yeah, there are too many Y's. So
I don't
I'm glad
know.
they
I
went
kind of
something
wish
different.
they kept it one syllable instead of Grogu,
Call him Gro.
Little Gro.
Little Gru.
Little Gru.
Well, I think it goes a little close to Groot.
Groot.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
When he calls his name, he'd be like, huh? I love that. He's so cute, and it was nice to see, they kind of knew each other.
well, you also get a connection. You realize that throughout this whole series, little baby Grogu isn't really a baby.
No,
No.
he's 50 years
He's
old.
50 years old and he knows a lot and has done a lot. So all these little innocent things that we've seen him do, it's all okay.
He's like baby Herman to me. He's just
Yeah.
He's older. But man, do you think about the Dark Knight of Episode 3, the movie, where all the little Padawans get slashed. Do you think Roku was in the background and he was hi?
I mean, they said that somebody came for him.
So there's theories out there, right? So which ones? You got Mace Windu,
that he may have come back and rescued him.
Yeah.
Could have had Ahsoka. Could have Obi-Wan.
Could have been Yoda.
Could have been Yoda.
I think it was Yoda.
Could have been Anakin. And Sidious may be like, oh, keep him. Don't kill him.
It could have been.
That may have been a factor.
It could have been. I think it was Yoda when Obi-Wan and Yoda went back to the temple.
Ooh, that's your theory. I think it's Obi-Wan. I think not Obi-Wan. I think it's...
It could be Obi-Wan because we got an Obi-Wan series that's coming out that kind of takes place in that in-between time period.
I think it's going to be Mace Windu. So you can bring Mace Windu's story in there with
There's
Obi-Wan.
There's Samuel L. Jackson definitely has put his 2 cents in that. He wants to come back. So there's a real possibility.
So it really opened up that campfire moment,
Yes.
them talking, and you're just like, oh, he was there? Oh, boy, how did he get where he was? And, like, there's a whole story
There's
there.
a whole, like, backstory that we don't know what Baby Yoda or Grogu. now.
Grogu, yes.
I know it's kind of hard because you're going to call him Baby Yoda, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's Grogu.
I like the name. I think it's a good name.
But it's hard because we've already established a name that wasn't his name, and they call it trying to go like, he's the child, and they're like, nah, it's Baby Yoda, all right? And
I
they're like, "It's
was
Grogu."
I was Team Baby Yoda. I was not Team the Child.
Yeah.
I didn't buy into that the PR that Dave Filoni and John Favreau were putting out there, because even the Disney company, they were calling Baby Yoda, and like John Favreau was like, no, it's the child. It's like, okay, John, all right, but
there was
I'm
an-
okay with Grogu.
So in this
Yeah.
episode, there was another important character that was brought in, Thrawn. It
Yes.
was mentioned.
So that's why Ahsoka is there. That's her whole mission. Like, yes, she's there to, like, she's trying to help these people, but
She's there for information about Thrawn, which
Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Which is Japheth's
my
favorite character.
You know,
he is
canon and, you know, pre-canon.
canon and non-canon.
Favorite character.
He's a character that's canon-wise, he's from the Rebels TV show,
Yes.
but he's originally from the now not canon Timothy Zahn books.
Yep.
Heir of the Empire series.
Yep.
So I think we're going to get a lot more about him with the newly announced Ahsoka TV show. I think that's going to be kind of...
It's her new arc.
That's going to be Ahsoka's arc going forward, is going to be her hunt for Thrawn, which I think
But
will...
why? Because at the end of Rebels, her mission was to find Ezra with Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Sabine,
We haven't seen Ezra.
and we haven't seen Ezra, and there's been a little bit of time. So what happened, and why is she so adamant to find her master? Remember, she's like, "Where's your master?"
Yep.
Yes.
So he created. Like,
Well, I was told that she actually comes from the planet of Dathomir.
she comes from Dathomir.
She comes from Dathomir.
Interesting.
Yes.
And they kind of like her backstory is she was a character in Clone Wars where her parents were killed, and then she becomes like this. She creates this fortune by creating all the ships
Yeah.
for the Empire. She's one of those people from extracting materials to, for the Star Destroyers and probably for the Death Star, and so that's why she's not a good person. That's why that planet probably looks like garbage because of her, the bad guy in this episode.
But so then they have epic fight scenes.
Oh,
Mando
the
has
epic
his fight scene.
lightsaber
and
fight.
Let the spear.
And I love, there's one line in there that I love, like, well, the epic fight scene is going on and Mando's with the other guy.
The other hitman.
Yeah, and he
down
goes,
there.
and they're like, well, let's see who wins. And then you hear, like, the sphere, like, drop on the floor and he goes, sounds like you win.
And he tries to pull the fast one where he's like, I'm putting down my gun. And Mando slightly gets off, like, but he's quick on the draw.
He knows.
Yes.
And gets him.
But I love the lightsaber fight between Ahsoka and...
It was a good fight. That was definitely the
I
best
think she was playing
fight.
with her. I think she was playing with her a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the full might of Ahsoka.
Of course. She hasn't lost her edge.
No ways. Definitely the best sword fight of the season.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I know, like, if you watch Rebels, you'll see a fight with Ahsoka versus Darth Vader. And Ahsoka's... She gets to drop on Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to see... If you like this episode, go on YouTube and just watch just that fight. Type in Darth Vader versus Ahsoka, and it's great.
Pretty epic.
Now, if you get more context behind this, it will, like, enhance the experience.
Yes.
But in that episode, you have Darth Vader, you have Darth Maul, Ahsoka, Ezra, Kane, and so like you bring in so many like characters into that, and so it's great. So great episode. It is my favorite one.
All right, let's go on to episode 6, where Mando takes.
He gets a tip.
Yeah, he gets a tip to go to the temple.
To the temple, the original temple
for the Jedi,
or one of them. It's a holy site, right? Because Ahsoka won't take.
Yes, Ahsoka's.
She will not take
won't
Grogu.
take Grogu.
She's afraid that Grogu will go down the path of her former master, which was Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader.
And people don't know Ahsoka Tano was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan.
Yeah.
And so there's a close bond there, and she feels guilty that her leaving
may have contributed to him going to the dark
added
side.
to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't want
that to happen
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's why she's apprehensive about taking Grogu. And so Mando is like, great, where do I need to go now? And she gives him the tip.
Says, go to this rock.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love Mando's term for it. It's all like magic rock.
Yes. That was fun. And then we are introduced to
Boba Fett.
Yeah, Slave
Comes
1 comes
back.
in, and I was like, it's Slave 1! Oh my god!
Yeah, that was pretty epic. You
That's
see
it.
that ship come in, you're like, oh, it's time. It's time for what we've been waiting for since episode 1 of this season.
It's like, it's true.
And
He is here.
And Boba Fett just goes, he's like, I want my armor.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
And you see the person he had left out in the desert, I forgot her name. The sharpshooter.
Supposedly she's coming back for in the Bad Batch series.
Oh, good.
She's going to be
More context.
There's going to be more story for her in the Bad Batch.
Oh, good. That'll like enhance her character.
She was like spotted in the trailer. So.
Oh, really? I didn't watch the Bad Batch.
Yeah, she was spotted in the trailer for that.
For those who don't know, Bad Batch are characters that were introduced in the last season of Clone Wars.
Of kind of like specifically modified clones.
Yes.
Basically like a top tier commando sort of squad.
They were experiments to like, oh, can we enhance these guys a little bit here? And
Yes.
these batch were good, but they're not good. Like in the sense they're not very compliant.
Yes.
They have their own way of thinking. So sorry, we are sidebar. Let's pull back.
This season goes everywhere.
Yes.
See, we're going different
there's a
episodes
lot.
back and forth.
That's why it's like this season was amazing for the super Star Wars fans that
Yes.
have consumed all the media.
Yes.
Whether it be books, video games, movies.
I think the only
old
movie we
TV
haven't
shows.
referenced is The Last Jedi. I think that's the last, like, I've got pretty much every movie this episode with, because this show...
Well, I think this
Thank you.
episode, does reference The Last Jedi, the stone.
Okay.
Because people have drawn connection between the stone Grogu was on, as well as the stone that Luke meditated on to transport his spiritual self to another planet.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Because that, again, the planet Luke was on,
Yes.
is that Octu?
Yeah.
That was the site of an ancient
Right.
Jedi temple.
Yes. Yeah, that
And
was...
so,
There we go.
All right.
It's happened. We've reached every episode.
All right, let's go over some big things that happened. Mando's ship destroyed.
Yes, the Razor Crust is no more.
that was
Boom.
definitely
That was a
Shocker.
sad moment.
shocker.
sad moment.
Now, when I buy the action figure toy, or buy the toy, does it blow up? Is there a button that goes boom? And then you're just like, no.
Well, I mean, that ship has been destroyed and rebuilt, and
Well, it looks like it was like disintegrated almost.
Yeah.
Like, there is no rebuilding.
there's no more
disintegration.
rebuild. This is a forever
He pulled out the
gone.
Beskar steel spear, and that was it. And so Boba Fett, let's get into Boba Fett. Before that comes, and he wants his armor.
Yes.
He still dresses like a Tusken Raider, and Mando's like, "No, you're not.
You're not a Mandalorian.
You're not Mandalorian. That's for this." And he's like, "Dude, it's mine. You don't understand. Like, it's a little complicated."
And then the Empire shows up.
In a light cruiser, it's Moff Gideon because there was a tracker placed
On Mando's ship.
on Mando's ship and Mon Calamar, that weird orange-looking fish dude.
Yes.
They give him a little moment, and he put a tracker. And so, boom, we're at the point where we have all our characters together.
But then you have this epic fight scene with Boba Fett killing troopers left.
That
and
was
right.
that was the moment I think most Star Wars fans were waiting for, because Boba Fett has this history of people looking at him as the most amazing
He's a mystique about him that's awesome.
amazing person in the Star Wars universe, but you never see him ever do anything amazing in the movies, so why is everyone thinking he's the most amazing guy? And this is the first time you really get to see Boba Fett be amazing.
Yes.
Well, and the fact that when he destroyed the two cruiser ships or whatnot that were
He uses his
invading.
jetpack rocket,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and he goes, "Nice shot," and he goes, "I was aiming for the other one."
It's a little rusty. He hasn't worn the suit. And there's also the story, what happened to his suit? Did he have to trade it with the Jawas? There's a little story there. And I think we may get that later
We
on.
might get that later on, for sure.
Yep, and then we also get introduction to the Dark Troopers. We see them in action.
Yes, we saw that in the previous episode.
previous
they were
episode, they
introduced.
It was in the one on Navarro where
Yeah.
they find out about what
The
they're using
outpost.
Grogu for.
Yeah.
That's when we get the hint, because Moff Gideon gets word that place was blown up, and that's when you first see the Dark Troopers.
Yep.
So, then you see Boba Fett destroy some stormtroopers. Grogu is on the rock, and there's this big glow that he is sending his force energy out there for someone to pick up.
I thought it was funny, how, when he was in that force, field, and, Mando's all time to go, and it's nope. Come on, let's go. Nope.
Yep. Force waits for no one.
Yeah.
And so,
But then that moment, when the force drops and Mando's nowhere near, you're like, no, no. And then
Grogu can't do. He gets tired. He's sleepy. He can't defend
he needs a
himself.
snack.
Macaroons.
and so the Dark Troopers come, they pick up Grogu, which everyone's like, no. But you know it's coming.
When the trackers put on there, it's they're gonna meet up. They're gonna lose them. So that was kind of what happened. And with the Razor Crest blowing up, there's a deal with Boba Fett to hey, I'll help you get your little guy.
He said, if you return my armor, I'll make sure nothing happens between you and the little one.
We'll do the deal.
And
that
so
we're talking
Mando
about.
was all like, well, all right, well, see you later. And he goes, no, you gave me back my armor. I'm gonna make sure I keep.
Did he give him back his armor? He kind of
He
just
took
stole
it.
it.
He took it, but he later proved to him that it
that's-
belonged to his quote
And you
unquote
get that he
father.
hits this genealogy on his wrist with the armor, and you're like, that's cool.
Yeah, so I read somewhere where someone actually translated it, and it had it had Jango Fett's name as well as who
Was before him.
who trained Jango Fett
Okay.
on there. And so you see that insignia on the armor on the next episode.
Interesting.
Of that person.
So, for those who don't know, there is a language called Basic in Star Wars, which is a common language among the galaxy. The Empire used it. Not everyone uses it, but if you know it, you're going to do well. It's like English and the world. Like if you know English, you can get by for most part around the business world, to say the least. You'll do well. And basics like that in Star Wars, and so there's an actual like language with it. You know how Star Trek has Klingon? Well, there's basic too. It's not that you hear people speak it. There's just a written language that's used, and you see that when the genealogy of Boba Fett pops up. And so Mando's working with Boba Fett
Yeah, we
now.
got a new team now to get Mando, just like in season 1, like where Mando had created his team, but now Mando's got another team to get Grogu. And that kind of takes us into episode 7.
Oh, we get to see the disbursement bomb from Slave One.
That made me like smile so big.
Same here.
Like when I saw the back door open, I'm like, they're gonna do the sonic bomb. Like
Boom.
that was like probably the best part of episode 2 was that scene where Jango Fett's dropping those on Obi-Wan.
Yeah, when they're in the one planet.
Geonosis. Orbit of Geonosis.
Because if you write Star Tours, that's one of the scenes that you can do. They drop it, and it's just you're running.
It's just like, if you've got a good sound system, that's an amazing scene. Because it just goes silent, and then it just... Whoa!
It's
a great...
very great. So when I saw it, I was like, oh! My wife has no clue.
I know, same with my wife. That's why my wife was all like, all right, you gotta get me to where you're at, because you get all excited about some of this stuff, and I have no idea what's going on.
Yes. They do it. Like I say.
So, let's see here.
Episodes, what is it, 7
Episode
now?
7, they go to the one planet to get the...
We get Bill Burr. His character comes back.
Yes, he was a character in season 1.
He's a
him
comedian.
and Mando team up to help break out a prisoner out of a New Republic transport. And then in the end, they try to backstab Mando and trap him on the ship, but Mando flips the table and traps the whole crew on the ship. And so
That's
Mando,
from season 1.
That's from season 1. So season 2, Mando needs the help of the Bill Burr character because he used to be a Imperial sharpshooter.
Yeah, I like the aspect coming from, like, I was in the military, and it gives the perspectives, like, we're not all bad.
Yeah, this episode 7 was really good because it changed the perspective of, like, good versus evil because, Mando technically was fighting for the Empire at one part against the so-called pirates, but I wouldn't call them pirates, they were just...
It's hard to know what his role was, because when he goes to that terminal and they recognize his face, like, he gets access? It's like, how does he get access to, like, their secrets?
I didn't quite understand the whole, like, face scan thing.
It's like... it was funny when Boba Fett, like...
He's like, they'll recognize me.
They'll recognize me. It's like, yes, they're clones. It was kind of like, those who know, it's a funny little joke.
But there was, that moment where, like, before they get into the, like, station or whatnot, and they're fighting on the, like, transport, I don't know what.
Yeah, and they're carrying the crystals, right? The same stuff that, like, is it the same stuff that Han Solo was trying to get?
It's different.
It seems like it was the same thing where it's unstable and you gotta, like, stabilize it.
It's a very unstable, so, like, what you're referring to is hyperspace fuel.
Yeah, the crystal things.
They were transporting, I believe, just like regular fuel.
Okay.
That's unstable.
So I was like, oh, we're gonna pull in Han Solo now. We're gonna pull in Solo reference right there. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different thing. But I did like how Bill Burr's character, I forget his name, but he kind of like brings things into perspective of all, like, we sometimes will change our morals depending on the situation.
And you see that a lot in Mando.
That was kind of like the theme of that episode. Yeah. Of like, you have to give up certain morals if you want to do what's right.
Yeah. Do a little bad, do greater good.
And that's what Mando had to do in the episode when he had to take his mask off in front of everyone to do the face scan.
I wonder if they do it just because the actor was like, I want my face to see more.
Right. So,
But that was definitely a big moment when he takes off his helmet and you're like, whoa,
It's
man,
not our
that's
first
serious.
time,
well,
but
Yeah.
even with like Bill Burr's character, when he saw him take off the helmet, he was all like,
Oh.
he took his helmet off, and even had to like have a conversation with him with his helmet off, and like,
His face has been seen.
right. And so there was they talked to the Imperial officer there. He buys him a drink because another side point, when they were bringing that transport in, when they were being attacked, you got to see Mando's skills with the
Out the
spear,
armor.
with the spear,
Oh, yeah.
to show you that he can hold his own with the spear. So I think that was kind of like a setup for a future episode.
True, yeah.
So then we get in, they're able to get the transport in, and they're kind of treated as like heroes because, let's just face it, stormtroopers aren't very good, and so I imagine what they did was like amazing, and they're in the...
Yes, because these pirates
Regular-
were destroying their transports left and right. That's all you see, and
Yes.
like, it's a great scene.
Yeah. So then this Imperial officer wants to have a drink with the two characters, and Bill Burr's character knows this. He used to serve under this leader.
He's like a war crime officer.
And they reference
Yes.
an incident that Bill Burr talked about where a lot of his friends and people he served with were killed. I think it was called Operation Cinder, which is actually a reference to the Battlefront 2 campaign storyline.
Interesting. Is it in Battle 2? Oh,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah.
I read the book.
Yeah,
Which
so-
is a precursor to...
So basically, Project Cinder was basically at the fall of the Empire. This was like one of the last orders the Emperor gave, that if the Empire fell, that you destroy everything. You glass everything.
Okay.
And so that was kind of that reference. And so a lot of Imperials were killed during this operation. And he's like, well, for the good of the Empire.
That's
And
the-
that,
that's
and
the
that was
motto.
like the motto, and I was like, you didn't really hear that. You don't hear that side of the Empire of like, oh, and so
It
it's
might have been a slogan or something we missed in a movie, or maybe it was in Solo or something.
I think it was in Solo. I think it's something you heard in Sarah.
We're trying. We're trying so hard to pull it.
pull every movie of
Why
Star
not?
Wars.
Let's look
Yeah.
at Rogue One. Oh, they talk about Death Star. That's easy.
Yeah, it did.
No, but I don't know. It was interesting to see the side of the Empire, and just kind of you don't get to see that side too
Yes, you're only dealing with like the high level, the functionality and moving.
And it's for weapons. That's what the chemical there. It's for
Okay.
weapons.
much.
It's for like
okay.
a big weapon.
And then, favorite scene in episode 7, I call it the Taken screen. It's like when Mando sends a message to
Oh yeah.
Goff.
Wherever you are, I will find you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It would be
like,
funny if Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon comes in
Right.
as the space ghost like, wherever you are, Mando will find you.
well, I mean, if you're paying,
Who is this ghost?
if you're paying attention, that's actually the same, basically almost word for word quotation of what Moff Gideon said to Mando in season 1.
That's true.
It's almost word for word. He says,
Amen.
you don't understand how much that thing, what you have, means to me. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's almost word for word, almost kind of like, oh yeah, I'm coming for you.
You think he's important? He's important to me too.
Yes.
And so, like, you see that moment of fear in Gideon's face for, like, I think the first time I've seen fear in that guy's face.
He's just been a thorn in his side.
Yeah.
Like, I think,
And you learn a little bit more about his character in episode 8.
Who, Moff Gideon?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
About, like, his role and how he's not such, like, a evil... I would call him more of a minion, if anything. Just kind of likes to poke fun at...
Who's the
people.
minion of... You talk about Moff Gideon?
Yeah, Moff Gideon's more of, like, a minion. I wouldn't say he's, like...
I think he's a loyalist to the Emperor.
Yeah.
Not to the Empire, but to the Emperor and his cause.
I think
he's
so.
one of those, like, Sith believers. I think that's
well,
what he
you
is.
gotta imagine,
he's intelligence.
Yeah.
So he knows more than most Imperial officers ever did. So he has a lot more information than most people in the Empire.
Yeah.
So you got to imagine he probably knows about the Emperor at this point.
Because people won't know who the Emperor is. He's just the guy in charge who was...
Well, he probably knows, like, the current state of the Emperor, I think.
Well, yeah, like, he's probably got tasked to do the final, like, bidding of, like, you need to clone me. And you need to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need this and this and that. And so he's, you know, like, he's on a mission, just like Mando is.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here.
So we get into episode 8.
Yeah,
they capture the Doctor.
Yes.
The same Doctor that we saw in season 1.
See more Slave 1 action.
Yes.
And the Doctor's helping them because he's all like,
I can't do
it. He's a worm, you
Yeah.
know. He's going to comply with whoever has a gun in his face.
Yep.
Because
I like his character.
No, I do too. I think he's he represents the everyday man who's just trying to do his job and not get involved.
I just like M counts, alright? That's all I am. I'm an M count dude, alright? You do your politics, I'm all about
you want to take out Gideon? Go take out Gideon. Here, this is how do you get to him.
Yeah.
Like, this is where the baby is. This is...
I just need a cool tank and a weird life form drawn in. That's all I need. Simple things in life.
I love the scene of them getting on the ship of, like, Boba Fett, like, fighting them, pretending...
Kind of the what is it called?
The
it's like, it's to trick them going, oh, we're under attack, and then, like, let us in!
Causing, like, that chaos and stress.
Well, I found out that, like, they were trying to do the emergency, because if they tried to do the code thing, they knew their ship would be scanned, and immediately they would be found out.
Yes. And so they needed to make a quick, hasty decision, or have them make the decision, like, we gotta do this. Should be like, nah, blow it up. But I think they had the threat, like,
They had the scientist.
Scientist is there, and he's like, let me in! Yeah, that was really good. They did a good job, like, allowing us to believe that they were going to make it into the light cruiser.
So, they make it into the cruiser, and they just come in and... Girl power dominates.
Yes, it was totally a girl power moment.
It was girl power, and it wasn't blatant.
No,
girl power.
I didn't see it that way, and so that's great. I see it now. I'm like, it's still girl power, but now I'm like, when I was watching it, it didn't take me out of the moment.
Yeah, because
Correct.
like in
maybe it's the helmets. That
earlier,
maybe it's the helmets.
In an earlier episode, when Mando first meets like the 3 Mandalorians.
There's a guy there.
There's a guy there, and he's not there anymore, so...
Yeah, what happened to him?
Well, he's on another mission.
Side mission?
Yeah, side mission, but definitely kind of set it up for that, like, girl power moment, which is fun.
They take out the bridge.
Yeah, they take out the bridge.
Moff Gideon's not there.
That's right. Mando is stealthily making his way.
Can we talk about the Dark Trooper?
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're like, that line went there, and now we're going like, what?
So girl power went to the bridge to try to take out Gideon.
Yeah.
But Gideon, he knows what's going on, so he
knows who his enemies are. And
he goes down.
Wants him for the Darksaber,
and he goes down to where Baby Grogu is in its cell, and Mando. On his way, he's walking by, and his job is to jettison the Dark Troopers out into space before they're activated, but he gets there just as they were activated and fully coming through.
Did you feel like it took forever for them to boot up?
Well, that's...
like I was on a 93 computer where it's like, oh boy.
Well, supposedly that's their big weakness, is that they consume a lot of power.
Well,
and they have to power them off because they consume so much power.
Okay.
And so they can only keep them on for so long.
It's a short term. Okay.
Did you notice the Dark Troopers, like, theme song?
No.
Yeah, they had some, like, dubstep.
Some big dubstep.
Yeah, that's right. It was very electronic. I remember that. And I remember, like, going... That's different from the organic, like, whoa, whoa,
yeah, it definitely had some sort of, like, techno or dubstep sort of, like...
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I do remember
And
that.
so Mando has a face-off with one of these dark troopers.
That's
and
good. It shows you, like, the power of it. A one-on-one
They were
moment.
very powerful.
If he was not wearing that Beskar armor, he for sure would be dead.
And so,
Yes.
do you think that the robot or the Dark Troopers had Beskar steal themselves?
They may have.
I felt that way. Like,
Well, no. And there's a reason why at the end of the
'cause-
episode.
Yes, you're
At the
right.
end of the episode.
You're right.
So Mando has a confrontation with the Dark Trooper, and he's successfully able to stab it with his spear to deactivate it, and he's able to jettison all the rest of the Dark Troopers out into space before they break the door down.
Yeah.
Just by punching it.
Yes.
Were you like when that happens? Were you a little disappointed? Like, really? That's it? Like, was this a Captain Phasma moment where we have these bad A characters come out, and then you're just like,
Yeah, I did have that moment of like,
I was
okay.
relieved. I was like, don't hurt Mando.
I was worried. You know, like, oh, he's not gonna take all those guys. That one guy was tough.
Like, I figured it was something that was going to come back later, because I assumed that these weren't the only ones in existence. I
I was
assumed that
hoping
was kind
so.
of like a precursor of what might come maybe in another season. And so then he makes it to the cell where Grogu is, and who's there?
With the
his
Darksaber?
Darksaber is Moff Gideon.
And there's
And
a whole fight.
They have a deal. They make a bargain. He's like, I don't care about what's going on with you. I just want him. And he's like, well, you take him and leave my ship. And then he takes him, and then
He's like,
Moff Gideon
I gotcha.
tries to trick him, and then like literally like hits Mando with the Darksaber like several times,
Yes.
many times.
Well,
so
do you think he did that because he knew Mando would take the black saber from him?
I think that was part of his master plan, was to lose that fight.
Yes, because he knows
He would have lost
the
it.
importance of
yeah.
it.
He knew he probably would have been killed if he went up against Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, as we
Bo-Katan would have killed him.
she's got like
Yes.
20, 30 years of hardened combat, you know, getting to this point.
And
She's
so
fierce.
and so I think he knew that like sparing, like he knew that his life would probably be spared from Mando, and so I think he staged that fight to
Live
lose
to fight
that
another
fight.
day.
Because
Which he will.
he was so smug when he came up to the bridge.
Yes.
He was so smug
I
with
love
Mando
that.
holding the Darksaber.
He's like, here you go.
And he's all like, nope, it doesn't work like that. She has to win the saber in a fight. And Mando's like, I don't care. Just I can
Which
see,
is-
take it.
Which means he should be the leader.
Hey, that's what I always thought at the end of season 1. I'm like, season 2 is going to end with Mando with the Darksaber. And it did. And it ended with him with the Darksaber.
Yeah, and I think Bo-Katan was afraid because she's like, I have to fight him, and
She's like, crud. This makes it so much harder because
She needs him.
she needs him. And it doesn't look good when you just attack another Mandalorian for the sake of just power. Because that just shows you're not a true leader for the sake of being a leader. You're just power hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just a tough
I think-
pill that she had to swallow in that moment. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to have it.
And I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think by the time they end the series, I think it's going to end with Mando being the leader of Mandalore.
I think so too. I
Um,
really felt it was a foreshadow when you see that moment and
Like, even though, like, you can tell he doesn't want it,
right.
but that's generally what happens in power. It tends to go to the people who don't want it.
because they're not going to abuse it.
Correct.
Right.
And they know, you know, the right direction it needs to go. And she had her chance, and
She lost it.
she's got baggage. People were like, yeah, we're gonna have you become leader again. That went well last time, right? And so
Yes.
maybe she just
Oh.
needs to be close to him to build credibility behind him, because he's part of this like orthodox group that's been hiding, and she's known, and together they can build a coalition that bridges them together. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen after this season, because we lead to An arrival.
Oh,
Well,
the fun.
Yes, the arrival of the Dark Troopers coming
Yes,
back.
they come back.
I had to rewind this a little bit.
Yeah. They come back
The,
and you're
the
like,
Dark
oh my God,
Troopers
no.
have rockets on their feet, so they fly back to the ship.
It took them a while. They're like, well, we're just floating out here. Oh, snap, I can go back. Yeah, I got some time there.
So they make their way back to the ship, and they're starting to pound their way through the blast doors, the double steel doors, just by punching it.
Yeah.
Just goosh.
I just kept thinking of like Qui-Gon sticking his lightsaber
Oh,
in the
right.
double, and like how hard it was, even with a lightsaber, to break through the double shield
And
doors.
they were just punching it, and like Gideon's getting all smug.
He's like, you guys are dudes.
He's all like, only two of us are gonna live through this, and it's gonna be me and and the baby. Like, we're the only ones gonna live for this. And then all of a sudden, and
Someone
a
came by.
ship comes in, and what ship was it? It was an X-wing.
A lone X-wing. When I saw it, I was like, that's Red 5. Red 5's coming in.
Red 5. And so the ship comes in, it docks, and then all you see is the shadow finger. Oh, you see all the Dark Troopers stop, and they turn and face the other direction in all the cameras. So they're no longer focused on the bridge, they're focused on what's coming at
Which
them.
is interesting, like,
Yes,
the command
how-
instinct to go that way.
How would they know that like Luke is a bigger threat?
That's a good question. I just
And
thinking
maybe,
about that now. It's like,
and maybe we might get more answers as we get more information about these Dark Troopers, because from what we know, this is the third generation of this.
these
troopers.
These troopers come from a video game concept, doesn't it?
Yes, from the.
So they're not from the movies or anything.
No, this is actually a reference to old. I'm forgetting the series, but with Kyle Katarn, it's not the Jedi Outcast, but it's the one that led up to that. But I forgot what it's called. But you see that cloaked figure ignite a green lightsaber, and it's just plowing through these dark troopers that you saw Mandalorian get owned quite a bit and barely beat one of them, and he's just plowing through them like butter, which is why it's not Beskar armor
Yeah,
on them.
and when I said that's like, oh, you're right.
And so, and then if you know Star Wars at this point, you already know who it is. When the bridge opens up, you see that it's Luke Skywalker. He
Yes.
comes to the bridge.
And I love like when Luke is fighting these robots, it's pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like very similar of how Vader would fight.
Well, yes.
People have already drawn that connection to the scene in
Rogue One?
in Rogue One.
Yes! We did it, guys. We did it.
In Rogue One, where Darth Vader is plowing through all the rebels.
Oh, if only Luke did like choke on your aspiration joke, it would have been better.
Oh, I hate that joke so much. But I mean, it's not the first time we've seen Luke be aggressive with his force powers. He's been aggressive in Return of the Jedi. He chokes a Gamorrean guard. He chokes Gamorrean guards.
They're like, it's like go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Go to your clothes. I was surprised by the crushing of
Yes.
one of the troopers. I was like, boy, that was Darth Vader. Like, that's a little. So I got my wheels spinning a little bit of like, is this good Luke or is this a clone of Luke? Is dark like?
Well,
or is this
no.
Luke who's testing the dark side.
I'll
a
tell
little
you
bit?
why it's not. It's because of the other cameo that shows up shortly after, and it's R2-D2.
Oh, it's true.
R2-D2 shows up, and it looks like R2 and Grogu have a conversation.
Yes. They're like, what up, man?
Like,
It's been
and the thing
forever.
is, and it's logical that they would recognize each other because R2 never had its memory wiped.
Yes, he was the one droid after
They
all
only
missions.
wiped the protocol droid's memory.
Yeah.
They never wiped the
R2.
R2.
And even during the Clone Wars, they have an episode where R2 falls in enemy hands and Anakin gets in trouble because
He didn't.
he doesn't wipe his memories because he likes, having the history and just all that information stored in there, which gets Anakin in trouble because R2 gets lost. Fun episode, but so I always wonder, does R2 ever tell Luke, hey bro, I know your dad. I can tell you all about him, right? Do you think he ever had that moment of Luke Skywalker, like Anakin Skywalker, like we're just flying to Dagobah. Why don't we just have a moment and just like tell you about your dad and like his story? Yeah, like I don't know, like
I never thought about that, but yeah.
I mean, he's the only source. He's the one throughout the whole story that's there.
why he's, as I've stated, he's one of my favorite characters.
That's
He's one of the consistents of the series. And so...
so it was good to see Grogu. Like,
I think the one part I really missed was that Mando didn't give Grogu the ball.
I was waiting for that too.
He didn't give him the ball.
No.
So maybe that might happen in a future season. Because they did hint, so I will see you again. Kind of like how
It's gonna happen.
Anakin talked to his mom in episode 1. Says like, I promise. And so maybe we'll see. Well, this isn't the end of Grogu's story.
I think the story continues.
But he did take his mask off.
Yes.
That was
to
huge.
see it with his own eyes.
And he didn't have a mustache anymore.
So he's been shaving.
He shaved.
You think he shaved with his mask on?
Well, and I love, so I totally saw this one meme where it was all like Vader and Luke, with like Vader taking his mask off, looking at Luke, and then Mando looking at
It's a little moment of like
baby,
father-son moment.
father-son
Little
kind of
blowout.
moment.
And so now that story's done, you know, Mando did tell Bo-Katan that he'll join her on her mission now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would coincide with him maintaining hold of the Darksaber and helping rally
Yeah.
the remaining Mandalorians.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll give an opportunity if they want Sabine to come into the story. Because we don't know if she's dead or not. She can come back into the story as well. Because she's a Mandalorian.
Well, Dave Filoni, he made mention, because a lot of people were like, well, where's Sabine at? Because we saw
He's
her,
gotta be
and
careful.
he saw her and Ahsoka at the end of Rebels go off on their own adventure, and he goes, listen, like, who said that happened here? That could happen further on down. So,
This is true.
so like, it's not...
Because you got like Ahsoka with her staff.
Yeah.
And so what journey does she go on where
Correct.
she's like this?
So, like,
She's like Gandalf the White now.
We
No
might
longer
not-
gray but white.
We might not have gotten to that point where Sabine is part of the story yet.
Okay. Ooh,
Okay.
That's a good point. I like that.
Okay.
That's good.
And so with Disney announcing, I think it was like 4 series that take place just in that timeline, let alone the other ones that they announced with the Bad Batch and the Cassian Andor and the Lando TV show, you can definitely tell that the Mandalorian series was a success, and that was the test to see if they could do Star Wars TV shows. And I think that proved that they could, and they greenlit everything.
Yes, because they wanted to do movies because the old business model was like make the movies, sell the merchandise, and find success. And with Solo not finding success that they expected with offshoots because they
As well
greenlit
as backlash for the whole sequel trilogy.
Rogue One was the only thing where they got great success, and a lot of people think it's the best Star Wars movie
of the Disney era.
And you know they didn't see the success with Solo, and they're like, oh no, what do we do? We were supposed to make lots of money.
That was going to be their new movie focus. Was
Yeah.
going to be on that Solo story arc.
And yeah, because they had a trilogy right there that they could have done with books and stuff like that had already been made. So now, like, with everything going to streaming, especially with COVID going on, it's like, this is the way.
This is the way.
This is
Where
the
we're
way.
going with movies. And, you know, I don't know, do we have anything else before we go to the end credit?
No, let's go. Let's dive into the end credits.
Oh, wait, let me ask one thing. CGI Luke. Thoughts?
It just makes me feel uncomfortable. That's my only.
So at first I
thought.
thought it was an act. I didn't think it was. It didn't. To me, when I first saw it, it just looked like
Well,
another
they used-
person.
they
It didn't
used-
look.
too.
It didn't
used
look
the
like him.
They used the actor that plays Bucky in Captain
No,
America.
no.
People
no.
want him there.
That's what people
Oh.
wanted. No, they did what they did with Princess Leia in Rogue One.
They did was it called deepfake or something like that? Or?
They just CGI'd the face.
Right.
And they put it on someone. So, like, have you seen, like, people...
So they
like,
grabbed someone that has
yeah.
similar traits and then kind of, like,
Right.
slightly
Yes.
altered it.
Yeah.
But Mark Hamill is credited in the credits, so apparently that was Mark Hamill's voice, at least, in that scene. So we did get, that was Luke Skywalker. That wasn't just
It would have
a
been cool
rando
if he, like,
actor.
pulled out some blue milk and was drinking it.
And they did say they weren't going to recast Luke. So
Whoa.
Dave Filoni, or like the people at Star Wars said, we will never recast Luke Skywalker. So
My question
Good
is,
statement.
yeah, they
do
said
you
that.
think Baby Yoda will die because Kylo Ren killed? Because Kylo Ren.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think he's actually going to meet up with the Yoda people.
I think so.
Like
I think
the
that's
rest of them.
you're gonna get. I think Ahsoka's gonna be a part of the story. I don't think Ahsoka's story's done
No.
with Grogu. I think when we get to the Ahsoka storyline, I think he'll come be a part of
I think
that.
Luke is going to get some training from Ahsoka, too.
Yeah.
I think so, because he's already proven himself. He's not going to go to the dark side. He turned his dad and stuff. So I think that...
There's gonna be a cameo. I don't think there's gonna be much.
No.
I think there's going to be a trade-off. You're going to see Grogu as the football that gets tossed around from show to show.
I think so, to help like make people go, oh, we gotta follow the baby.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that like is
I
igniting.
brought in the common person to liking the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, the baby's so cute, Yoda. That's what got my wife. She was like, she
Yeah,
liked
same
it.
with
She
mine.
liked the Western feel of it, but like she didn't get the deep down like Star Wars fan
Correct.
stuff.
All right, let's quickly wrap it up. End credit. Go quick. Pinpoints.
Oh,
Boba Fett comes back to Jabba's palace
All right.
and kills.
what's his name?
Is it Mon? No, it's Bib Fortuna.
Yeah,
Bib
Jeez.
Fortuna.
Props to you. For
The
remembering that.
the chubby Bib Fortuna. I guess he's trying to.
He got in Jabba's
He's trying to-
fat stash right there.
He found his frogs or whatever.
He still hasn't clipped those fingernails either.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those fingernails are long.
He pulled like a little Howard Hughes moment right
And
there.
he came in, took over, and he's just basically took over the crime cartel.
Yeah, so is Boba Fett going to get into spice trading? He's
Uh,
going to get into the... I think you're going to get back into the, like, the dark underground, which I think what Solo was trying to do with Darth Maul's character. When they brought him up, where you were going to get, like, that, the mobster side of like what was going on with the Emperor and like how the Empire was working.
You're
with
gonna get a
those
little bit of
syndicates.
that like abandoned 1313 project
Okay,
or whatever. I think that's what it was called. I think it's something else.
so you're
Different
gonna
number,
so
but-
you're gonna get the power vacuum aspect, like what happened where those who were still in power, what happened to them, and like
Yes.
pirates are a huge thing. They mentioned that in the Aftermath series where. You've got a superstar destroyer that's taken over by pirates, and so there's a superstar destroyer just like cruising the like, galaxy, owned by pirates. So I think you have a lot of potential of showing that like we like the Western aspect of the Mandalorian,
Yes.
and seeing that individual, just a regular person doing bounty hunting, and now you've got a skilled person that's in a power position. It's like, what's Boba Fett going to do with all this power? He's finally made it. He's always wanted that power. You get that in Clone War
yes.
cartoons.
Yes.
And when he's younger Boba.
And so, supposedly, this is what I've heard. Don't know if it's 100% correct. So they basically said they called it the Book of Boba Fett, coming December of next year.
Which is after Mandalorian ends their season?
No.
No, it's the same
No.
time.
So this is what I've heard. So the reason why they said, because they said that Mandalorian season 3 will come out Christmas of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But that was before this episode aired. I believe what I was informed of is that the first 4 episodes are going to be about Boba Fett.
Okay.
And then we're going to get an additional 8 episodes, which will be regular Mandalorian.
Are they going to break off?
It'll be 2 separate storylines.
2 separate stories.
So it'll be 4 episodes about Boba Fett. And then we'll get... Then we'll start the actual Mandalorian
Do you think they're
series.
going to break off into a new show?
Yes.
I'm which I was like, but they didn't
Which
announce
they
it.
didn't
but then I was
announce
like,
it because they didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I figured.
And so that was kind of like, yeah, Mandalorian Season 3 will begin then, which technically the Mandalorian season won't actually begin until later. It'll be Boba Fett's story first.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's like, are they going to build it up, or like, are they just going to?
Because
They were going to make a movie for Boba Fett, but now they've started a story, and they got a foundation, and it's like, oh, I want this.
well, there you can definitely tell Disney's setting up year 2022 as the year of Star Wars, whereas 2021 will be the year of Marvel shows.
It's fun because Marvel had like a huge year previous with like Endgame.
2019.
Yeah,
Yes.
2019 with Endgames, and then it went quiet. And then,
Well, because COVID hit, and so
Yeah.
we never got to see the Black Widow movie as well as the Eternal movies.
Mhm.
That was supposed to come out in November, and so that was all been pushed out. So 2021 will be Marvel's year, and 2022 will be Star Wars year for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that.
I hope Disney Plus doesn't cancel any shows because they have been.
It sounds like they're going to be doubling down on Disney Plus.
with the movie theaters industry like shutting down, and people are like picking sides with like HBO Max and Disney Plus, you're seeing lines drawn.
Yes.
And we're in the midst of a streaming war, and so you're going to see like streaming service fighting for their lives.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think some of the ones I feel like this might be a discussion for another day, but like CBS, that one's probably one of the first ones that'll disappear.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna go to HBO.
I thought Apple Plus would go away.
That one. Well, Apple has lots of money.
They have lots of money.
They've got lots of money. So, because like there was always that rumor back when the economy was good that Apple was going to buy Disney, but that's a discussion for another day.
Oh boy, we've
Yeah.
already gone on.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is the time we have. We're gonna make this a two-parter.
Yeah. This is our second part right
This
here.
is our second part, so thanks for joining us. And we are on Facebook and Instagram, so reach out to us through those social medias. You can also email us at matterhornyoders@gmail.com.
Tell us your favorite part of The Mandalorian.
Anything.
Yeah.
And share theories. Like, oh, I think it's this. Like, if you watched a YouTube video and this guy says this, I love hearing the theory stuff.
Oh yeah, share us your theories, share us your favorite moments of Mandalorian.
What you're looking forward to.
Yeah, and kind of what you're excited for the next Star Wars series coming out of multiple shows.
We're going to get a Grogu TV show.
He's the football. He
He's the
has to
football.
run.
He's
He's
the
the one
football.
that's going to, like,
Link
ratings spike.
it, yeah. But that's all the time we have, so thanks for joining us. Hope y'all have a magical day, and this is the way.
May the force be with you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.